name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back into Tech Path. Joining me today is the co-founder and managing director over at Phantom Galaxies, also Blowfish Studios, Benjamin Lee. Great to have you on the show.
Hi, Paul. Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Ben, let's get into a few things. Obviously, Blowfish, for some of our viewers, readers, listeners, maybe you're not aware of it. Check out their website. You guys can learn a little bit more about the games and around the amount of games that they're starting to roll out. Obviously, very involved on Steam and all that good stuff. Benjamin, give me kind of a rundown of what you guys are doing with Phantom. First of all, obviously your Web3 game, but where are you today?
I mean, Blowfish has been around now for 13 years, and we were a traditional gaming developer plus publisher. And Phantom Galaxies is our showcase Web3 game that we've been building now over the last 4 years. So we actually launched into early access 2 weeks ago now on both our website, Epic Game Store, and Steam, and also Ultra and Hyperplay. So the interesting thing here is obviously with the Steam launch, because Web3 games are they're banned on Steam. So what we've done there is we've launched a Web2 version of the game that has no connections to the blockchain, but obviously it's connected, and it offers a cross-play, multiplayer online community to all the Web3 and Steam players as well. So that's been really important for us. And the game is free to play, so it's really targeted at trying to, like we were saying, onboard as many gamers into the Web3 space as possible.
How long before we start to see some of these platforms really kind of embrace what's happening in Web3? Obviously, the players have already shown interest to a certain level. What do you think is holding them back, including platforms like Steam, to make the leap?
Yeah, from my experience and from talking to all the different platforms, I think the major blocker or hurdling stone there is the legalities. And so with Web3, obviously still with the regulatory issues around Web3 and no concrete laws around that yet, I think that's really what's holding the platforms back. There's no real intrinsic pushback against Web3 in general.
Right.
It's just that from a legal standpoint, they need that to be cleared up, I think. So,
well, I think we're going to see a lot of movement. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of movement in the very near future. I think around digital assets. Obviously, they'll kind of flow directly into in-game assets. Looking at the Steam charts, I was kind of going through some of this, and with Phantom Galaxies out there on it, I have a Steam. I like to really kind of jump into this, and I'm looking at just in general, not a lot of activity on Phantom Galaxies. What are you guys doing to try to lift player engagement and also activity within platforms like Steam?
Yeah, so when we launched on Steam a couple of weeks ago, we had a couple of technical issues there, which kind of hampered the initial launch. But we had on the launch day, there was over 30,000 downloads of the game through Steam, and we've been really kind of focusing on getting that early access launch to really make sure the onboarding and is smooth for players. And then once that's kind of sorted out, that's being kind of smoothed out now, and we've started on your typical kind of user acquisition campaigns.
How many online players overall, when you look at, not just within the recent platform launches, but in general, what does it look like as far as the entire ecosystem?
So entire ecosystem for Web3 or for Phantom Galaxies? Sorry.
For Phantom Galaxies, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So since we launched on early access, we've had about over 24,000 players come on and play, been playing the game, and we've had about 1,000 Web3 players now wallets connected. So
okay, all right.
Even though, so it's quite sizable for us.
I was looking at the onboarding here on your website. If you go to phantomgalaxies.com, you can obviously connect in with your wallets, but there's a lot of hoops, obviously, with Epic right there as well. A lot of hoops that you guys are essentially kind of jumping through. How important was this release, especially with Steam and Epic in general? And I guess the bigger question is, when you look at being able to get onboarding done in a very slick and easy way, what do you think is going to have to take place in the future for this to really kind of get more mainstream?
For us, though, what we've built into the game is a seamless transition from going from like no wallet to having a wallet. So right now, as we've launched into free to play, both Steam and Epic don't require a wallet when you first get in there and start playing. So right now, a player can go to Steam or Epic, press play, download the game, jump straight in, and they're going and playing. Then at a later point, they can jump onto the website, connect a wallet to their account, and once they've done that, then they have full Web3 integration. So any of the digital assets that they've collected will actually appear inside the Web3 version of the game, where they can go and play with those and also see them. It's kind of like a digital asset portfolio that we've put inside the game as well.
That's interesting, I think, because on the onboarding component, it to me is the one thing that seems to hold back Web3 almost on every platform out there. And it's such early stages right now in terms of growth. I think the opportunity is going to come along pretty quickly. If someone's kind of getting started, especially around NFT acquisition, I mean, what do they need to get going here? I mean, I'm looking here just at the OpenSea, array of assets. If you look at, in general, what do I need to get started with Phantom Galaxies?
Yeah, so as it is, so from an NFT point of view, then our base NFT is just the starfighters and pilots. So this collection here you're seeing is a whole array of different things. So these are more like the mint passes. We have two collections. I think you showed them, so had them up on the screen earlier, where you've got the starfighters, which are our mecha, and then we had the pilots, which pilot those. And so they're the two core NFTs that are required. So I should just rewind back to a comment you said earlier as well. So with the Steam version of the game, there's no account linking into the Web3 element. It's only if the players decide to transition over to Web3, then they can link their account and it becomes a Web3 account, which is no longer playable on Steam.
All right, so that's where it ties in. Okay, all right, that's interesting. All right, so when you look at just player engagement, obviously the game itself, but also the potential of having really two platforms, the free-to-play version on Steam and others, but also the Web3 component. Where are you seeing the most uptake in terms of player engagement right now?
So the free-to-play onboarding is actually not gated in any way. So a player can come in and play from a free-to-play aspect and play through all the games. So everything you're seeing here, with the weapons and the gear and all that being dropped and leveling up the free-to-play version of the starfighters and the pilots, that's all possible. So this is important to us because, like you're saying, it's really important to get engagement to as many players as we can, so that they really then kind of embrace and on board to the NFTs and the Web3 element. So here, once players have leveled up and they're collecting all these items and gear, not right now, but soon in our roadmap, then players will be able to actually mint out the high level gear into NFTs, which have then become freely tradable on the open third-party markets.
Interesting thing here is obviously tied into Polygon and the potential there. This is, I would still say, the premium and premier game within the Polygon ecosystem. Is it easy and cheap to develop on Polygon? What's the kind of the framework of the dev stack itself? How easy is it for you guys to kind of bring out?
Yeah, no, Polygon was a great choice for us because it's EVM compatible. So for our blockchain smart contract developers, they had really kind of there's a lot of resources and knowledge and expertise out there for Polygon and EVM. So that was very important for us. And then obviously from a gas fee perspective, which you need for developing and testing all smart contracts, that's very cheap. It's kind of negligible for us.
I was just going to say, has there been any challenges within Polygon in general with you guys trying to build within that? Because we haven't seen an explosion of games within Polygon. And I mean, why? Is there something holding back developers, or is it just, there's a certain level of threshold for entry? What is it that you guys are seeing?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's related to that. For me, up until this point, we've had a lot of different games that have been released in the Web3 games in the ecosystem that, at a certain scale and kind of quality level as well. Now, as we see larger games come out, it's where we'll get more real game players coming in to play the game. And then to your question, why haven't we seen such a large embrace or entry into the Polygon? It's like we were discussing before. It's more around the onboarding and the friction there. But as we see more products come out that essentially, like so for Unreal, for example, in our game, Phantom Galaxies is using the Unreal 5 engine, and up until recently, there was no wallet that we could get the players to approve transactions inside the native Unreal Engine game, and so that was made things very difficult. Hyperplay is one option that we support that allows for approving on-chain transactions within the game. So that's really cool. But I think what we need to see is a more mainstream, widespread solutions that will let us do that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think interoperability is going to be a big factor there. Obviously tied in with Animoca Brands. What other interoperability opportunities do you guys see with what is happening with Animoca right now? Anything that you see in terms of opportunities in the future for Phantom Galaxies?
Yeah, I mean, so one big project that Animoca is bringing out is the Mockaverse. So that's their kind of their broad loyalty style program and ID player identification kind of project. So we are going to fully support the Mocker IDs in that respect, and there's that also then brings in a lot more games and projects as well. So there's a very large opportunity for us to have that interoperability throughout multiple projects. But really with the Mockaverse,
what about projects like Sandbox, Torque Drift, anything kind of going in those directions?
Yeah, so I mean, Sandbox, we've already done a couple of promotions or partnerships with. The great thing about Phantom Galaxies is that we have this concept of planets inside Phantom Galaxies,
right?
And so with like Torque Drift, Motorverse and Sandbox and other third party like investees of Animoca Brands as well, like Shrapnel. Then we're looking at we've got some partnerships that are on the way where we have these planets, so we can have like a metaverse where different projects will come in and we'll both have content inside Phantom Galaxies and then provide interoperability between our avatars / pilots and have themed starfighters as well. So that's definitely a big part of our roadmap there as we bring people in, because Phantom Galaxies is it's not what you'd call a typical MMO RPG, but it allows for a huge number of players to come in and socialize with each other. So
right, yeah, for sure. You look at some of the movement that has been happening within AR VR in general. This was just showing Ryan Engel over from Golf Plus. He was showing that there's a lot of growth here between, if you go back and look at 2021 when really we started to see AR VR start to make it. Now third year in a row they're saying we're going to see continued growth in AR VR. This of course potentially could be massive for a lot of Web3 projects, much like what you guys are doing. How big is this for you in the future?
Yeah, I mean, so historically, at Blowfish Studios, we have worked in VR and AR. We worked very closely with Oculus and Valve as well on their parts in their platforms, and we've created games there. So it's of very high interest to us from both from a technical innovation aspect. I think for some of our games, like we've had and we've put into the VR, and once you put those headsets on, those goggles, and you're going into that world, even like our game Gunscape, which we actually brought and did a VR test on, it's what you'd call like a blocky kind of version of it's like Minecraft, right? But just being inside that virtual world and being able to look around, it's pretty amazing. So I think as all the companies have been working on, and Apple now with the Vision, I think it still comes down to the hardware and kind of getting that into the hands of all the different people. We've got the Quest 2. Again, my family is really amazed by that. but how it relates to like games like Phantom Galaxies, I guess it's a bit harder because you still have all those those motion sickness issues, and when you're trying to move around in those worlds. But I see it. I just see it really will be it'll be a future part. But like Web3, we might still be a little bit early. We might not be.
Right.
I think the XR, the XR kind of solutions, they're the ones that will probably lead us into the future when it comes to the mixed reality and virtual reality usage, at least anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Looking at your roadmap, okay, so the beta launch Q2 23 there. Obviously, you did the planet generation. So this is all flowing in the right direction. What is next step around maybe one of the console games like Xbox, PS5?
Yeah, I mean, so we haven't announced it yet, but we actually have, we've got the Steam version, essentially, the totally Web2 version that's approved for us to release on the PlayStation 5. We're working on getting it done for the Xbox. So that is definitely something that's on our horizon because we are a console developer as well. We've released multiple titles on consoles, not Switch because the game is the graphical level is too high to go to that kind of device. But otherwise, no, we are building towards getting it on the PlayStation at least later next year.
I'm going to have to test this out because I haven't seen it on my Steam Deck, and I've got the new OLED version, which is much more vibrant in terms of just the display side of it. And my son and I have been playing on that. He likes the graphics, but this is one we've got to check out for sure. All right, so what about mobile? What about mobile apps? I mean, what does it look like for you guys? I know you guys have been developing in this direction, but can you give us any insights?
Yeah, so with the mobile, as we were talking about before, with Web3, there's really a large ecosystem around the project, around ASTRAFER and around the other digital assets that are within the game. Mm-hmm. So right now we have like a HTML5 kind of mini game that players, or essentially planet holders, that's one of the assets inside the game. If you're a planet holder, you can go in there and play this HTML5 game. On mobile or desktop, it doesn't really matter. It's just HTML5 based, and we have more kind of games that are being built for HTML5 in that space. And so that's how we plan to expand out. So through expand out the community around the game and the digital assets to be able to be more accessible to players globally. Because that is one thing that we've seen, obviously, with this Unreal 5 engine game, that it's not as accessible from to the broader community because of the hardware requirements for it.
Yeah, which is it is a bit of a problem. And we've talked to a lot of mobile game devs, that are really pushing kind of all in terms of mobile gameplay because they think that's where the growth is going to be. I still think there's a mix of all these markets that are going to find the right kind of maybe market expansion for where Web3 is going, whether it's mobile, the consoles, or even in, things like Steam Deck, et cetera. Hey, listen, Benjamin, it's been great having you on, learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing there. Good luck on everything with your launch. And hopefully we'll get a chance to continue to see Web3 kind of grow into some of these major platforms. So we'll be watching very closely. But thanks for stopping in.
No, thank you, Paul. Thank you for having me. It's been great speaking with you.
All right, so you guys are maybe tuned in over on the podcast side of things. Jump over here to the YouTube channel because this is going to give you a much better experience, especially when we get into things like Web3 gaming, because you need to see what's happening within this ecosystem. There's a lot of not only new games, but also kind of strategies that are playing out that I think you guys will want to be a part of. So all you have to do, just search Paul Barron Network over on YouTube. You'll find us. Make sure and subscribe to the show because we do a lot. I know we cover quite a bit from legislation to Web3, all into tokens, analysis, all that kind of stuff. But you can catch it all over there. If you guys want to follow me out there on X, it's @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.